Okay, before I get on to the subject of this video, I got slagged off a few weeks ago. Nobody likes getting slagged off for drinking the wrong kind of beer whilst making a video. And to be fair, it was some cheap shite. I've got to recommend this. I find it harder to get hold of nowadays. It's Young's Special London Ale, 6.4% by volume. It is so hoppy, absolutely fantastic. It's got to be my favourite beer. I've swigged hundreds of bottles of this stuff over the years. This video isn't about beer. It's about a couple of fascinating videos. The first one, I'll link to them, involves this woman who's had these buttock implants, if you haven't seen it. It's really kind of horrifying, but it's I've got a bit of a weak stomach for some of these things, but I managed to watch this one okay. It's one of these ones that ends okay. It starts out, she's got this buttock implant, and it's kind of, what sort of shape is it? It is like a dome-shaped buttock implant. It's obviously got a flat back, and it's got turned around so you can see their flat back. It looks like she's got a kind of small, not a dinner plate, maybe a side plate shoved up her arse. Not up her arse. I mean, you couldn't shove a dinner plate up an arsehole, but it's shoved in there in the buttock, and then she kind of flips it round so that it's the right way round again, and then proclaims, I don't think I'm supposed to be able to do that. I would suggest that she's right on that score. You're not supposed to be able to do that. Then there was a response video. Sorry, I need to blow my nose. That's very unprofessional of me. But I'm not a professional, so that's okay. Then there's a response from Mr Repzion on this when he talks about body dysmorphic disorders and all this kind of thing, and he gets quite hot under the collar about people who say that unless you've got big tits or little tits or a big bum or big muscles, you're not a real man, or you're not a real woman, or all that kind of stuff. And of course he's right. When people do that, it's a kind of ridiculous thing to say, and that's putting unfair pressure on people. But it got me thinking about an old chestnut that I like to think on every now and again, because it seems that in society, and I'm not anti-plastic surgery, by the way. I think everybody has to make their own decisions on these kinds of things about how happy you are with how you look and how you want to look. And if you don't look the way you want to look, well, you wouldn't say to somebody who felt like a man born in a woman's body or a woman born in a man's body, no, you know, you can't, you have to stay as you are. So why with these smaller gradations do we feel we have to say to people, you can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that? If people really are unhappy and would be happier if they had bigger tits, smaller tits, bigger... No, nobody would want a bigger forehead like mine, would they? That's ridiculous. But you know what I'm getting at. So I don't go with that, but I do go with this idea of pressuring people unnecessarily, of taking what are our own prejudices and then foisting them on people and saying, well, unless you conform to that, you're not a real man, a real woman. But there is another side to that, and that is this, that it seems as if there's a kind of hierarchy of social acceptability of what you find in other people. If you're attracted to somebody else for their looks, that's kind of seen as a bit shallow and kind of bad form, you know. You should accept somebody however they look or something, which is kind of, on the face of it, is kind of ridiculous anyway, because it just doesn't work like that. You don't have any choice over the people that you are sexually attracted to. So it's not as if you could even make that kind of choice, even if you thought that was the correct thing to do. But that's seen as a kind of bad thing to grade people on. Grading people on, say, how much they earn or some of their material wealth, that's another one that's seen as kind of bad form. But here's the thing, and this is the point that I wanted to make. It occurs to me that whatever kind of system you have, however you judge people, there are going to be winners and there are going to be losers in that kind of scheme. And it's alright to say, well, character is more important, personality is more important, or intellect is more important. You know, you should be attracted to people who are intelligent or people who have a lovely, warm personality and look beyond their physical appearance or this kind of thing. Of course, some people have a fantastic physical appearance. I'm not selling myself there, am I? But some people have a fantastic physical appearance, but not very much character. And if you make it all about character, then there are still going to be losers, aren't they? It's just that a different group of people shit out, quite honestly. Those really attractive people who maybe didn't have much personality, who were as thick as pig shit, have got by. They've had some good times and they've got by. Along with people who have quite, you know, have good characters, maybe aren't quite so blessed with the good looks. It's the boring bastards that I think who are also not very good looking, who perhaps tend to fall at the bottom of the stack. But the point is, you're always going to get, it's a competitive environment, you're always going to get somebody at the bottom of the stack, and whoever's at the bottom of the stack isn't that equally as unedifying, unless it's people who are nasty and vindictive and deserve all they get. Other than that group, isn't it a little bit, you know, if you've got people who are a bit perhaps boring, as I'm attempting to portray in this video, but have the looks, as I'm also attempting to portray in this video, perhaps not to quite the same levels of success, those kinds of people, is it any better to think, yes, those are the kinds of people that we would like to see at the bottom of the heap? With regard to this woman with the butt implants and with regard to what Mr Repzion says, it is a competitive marketplace and people are going to do whatever they can, I think, to increase what they see as the value of their stock and of how they feel about themselves, and if they feel that a different body would make them feel better about themselves. And I think you're pushing against something that's an unstoppable train to try and rail against that. What I think is perhaps a more sensible and measured approach is to try and keep some semblance of realism on this, and to try and encourage people to keep things in proportion. If you feel like you need to lose weight, well, fair dues, but don't let that drift into anorexia. If you feel you want to put a few pounds on, okay, but keep that under control. If you feel you need bigger tits, okay, but let's keep those. They need to be smaller than your head. I think that's always the kind of rule of thumb I've always kept with breasts there, as far as I'm concerned. That's about all I wanted to say on that. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.